What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
and today we are diving into something we've been anticipating for a long time. Really love this show, love the comic, love the concept, and we are diving in today to the first 3 episodes of Season 3 of Invincible. Before we go in, though, we are now officially members of Patreon, so if you want to become a member of the G-Spot for a little cup of coffee, you can actually become a member of the G-Spot community and get a couple cool things and help us with our making awesome videos for you guys. So without further ado, let's dive into one of our favorite shows, Invincible. What do you think of these episodes?
How are we breaking it down? Are we going like episode by episode? We're just talking about it in general as if all 3 are one episode type thing.
I didn't really think about it, you know? I watch it and then I'm like, ooh, that was fun. And then I come here and I talk to you about it.
All right, fair enough. So I guess order isn't that big of a deal then.
I think as long as, so order can be important for one reason. You don't miss anything, right? So if you do it in the chronic, like the order in which the episodes drop, then there's like certain pieces you won't miss. But I mean, if we're excited about a topic, let's talk about it, right? Like, why not?
So I'm glad that Mark's finally hooking up with Eve.
Yes, long time coming, but awesome that he awkwardly summoned himself into that.
Yeah. All because of the parallel dimension one, right?
Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy from the alternate dimension that save him from his fate with Angstrom Levy.
We'll see more of. And we're loving him in this new series, Paradise.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so yeah, he gets saved by her, and before he goes back home, she drops the bomb, basically like, hey, either tell me you love me or you don't. You've been freaking toying me around for like 3 decades. And so he goes home not only with the weight of the fact that he believes he killed someone, because he doesn't believe, we know Angstrom's still alive. He does not yet. He also now has the weight of like this love lost that in his timeline technically isn't lost yet. So how is he going to deal with that? He talks to his friends about it. They're like, definitely don't tell her. First thing he does is tell her, which I thought was kind of I think this is going to be the reason why this works and it doesn't fall apart for them, is because right from the bat, there is like no secrets. It's like, hey, we're both superheroes, like, which again was a major reason why Amber and him broke up, right? He was hiding it the whole time. She didn't like the lies. There will be there's no lies, there's no secrets, and she actually understands him. So I thought that that's pretty cool. And then they were just like, you know, even though this is probably not going to work out the way I want it to, I'm going to let you know about this other person. And he doesn't. He doesn't do it well. He stumbles through it, but
I also was glad to see Seth Rogen's character again and Omni-Man together.
Alan the Alien, yeah.
He's great in that character. Like, perfect voice for it, for sure. Although he's my only introduction to it. But I like how he's like, wow, you've got way stronger.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, exactly. And then they test the limits of his strength with the laser.
They don't realize what they're doing, and it's going to hurt them.
It's making him stronger, right?
Every single time he recovers from injuries, he gets stronger. They are literally powering him up. Yeah. That's the thing that we find out, the big reveal from Thaddeus. He's a Viltrumite. And the reason he unplugged Alan's life support in that episode in season 2 was, yes, he could die. That's a gamble they always take. They're not immortal, but if they survive, they come back exponentially stronger, like 3-fold, 10-fold stronger than they were.
So should they keep experimenting, trying to kill him, they're just going to end up making him stronger and stronger and stronger until they've got no control over anything.
I think he's already at the point where he's so strong they can't do anything to him. The only reason he hasn't left yet is because he's truly trying to recruit Omni-Man. He's trying to get him, right? So
Without you, bud.
Yeah. So I think he's at the point now where he is strong enough that he could just break out, but to the Viltrumite's detriment, they're just like, he's going to be OP, right? Like, he's going to be overpowered. There's going to be no way that they can deal with him. But to make things interesting for the viewer, they may nerf him somehow, right? They may make it so that ability doesn't mean anything.
Oh, kind of like kryptonite.
There'll be a kryptonite that chases Superman. Yeah, right. Yeah. Otherwise, like, if he just keeps following this timeline, he could wipe out the Viltrumites by himself. Like, just powering him up. But it does become a very crucial member of like the rebellion, the coalition of planets later on.
That's cool. We got a origin story for Cecil.
Yeah, so I loved that a lot. I liked that we got to go deeper into why this dude is so government by the book. Like, why does he believe the things he did? does now, because clearly he didn't, right? That was a cool twist. What do you think about that? The very same things he's getting mad at Mark for, Mark's getting upset about, was him.
And the same thing Mark's getting upset about with Oliver was him.
What do you think? Like, that's pretty crazy, huh?
I noticed that right away. I was like, it's just the cycle. It's the same thing that Omni-Man went through when he got here. It's the same thing Mark went through growing up with his father. And now it's the same thing with Oliver.
Yeah.
And it seems like Oliver may actually end up more powerful than Invincible from what I'm seeing.
It seems like it. He was he even said in the episode, how did you get so fast already? Right. So I think because he's half Viltrumite, but he's also not human at all. Right. Where I think that the human genetics inside of Mark may limit him more than Oliver's.
Okay.
But what I noticed more than anything is that because there is no humanity in Oliver, and he's only really had a short time with Debbie, that he has no real sense of like compassion for evil, right? Where what I mean by that is like Invincible won't kill somebody, right? Like he has that line, like a Batman, right? I won't take their life. Where Oliver is like, no, like you're supposed to. Like that's the only way to really stop them, to make sure the world is safe or that my family is safe.
Justify the afterwards. He's like, I didn't mean to.
That's like a kid saying, I didn't mean to punch my sister, even though he totally meant to punch his sister, right? Like that's what that is. Invincible was talking with Immortal and got the information basically like, yeah, the first Mauler twin could have been rage, could have been accidental power, whatever you want to call it. The second one was trying to surrender, had given up, and he still obliterated his face off.
Yes.
So
Broke his jaw first.
yeah, which
She's like, we're going to need surgery for that, dude.
yeah, that's pretty funny. I think the Mauler twins, but like banter is good. Now, unfortunately, they are gone, so we won't see them anymore.
Ever?
Oliver killed both of them, and they usually only have 2 clones, so we'll see.
Well, we were talking about that right before we started filming this, too. Like,
Well, that's the thing. The show doesn't always stay true to the book, right, or the comics, right? So a lot of the characters that we saw in the Doc Seismic scene, where Eve and I want to say Oliver, but that's not his name.
Mark?
Mark, thank you. I wanted to say Nolan or Oliver. I couldn't think of Mark for some reason. But anyway, when Adam, Eve, and Mark show up to basically save the day from Doc Seismic, all of those characters are original for the show, right? So like, what I bring that up and I say that because whether or not the Mauler twins come back could be totally up to the showrunners, right? But based on what we've seen, Oliver killed them both off. So
I think they're both fun. But we kind of skipped over a big piece of episode 1, which is them working Mark to death. They're pushing him and pushing him and pushing him to get stronger and stronger and stronger for an enemy that they know about, but they're also planning for an enemy they don't as well.
yeah, because we know Cecil is so duplicitous and has always had ulterior motives to the things he's doing, I almost thought they were like sizing him up. Like, yeah, they're training him, but at the same time, they're learning his limits, they're learning his weaknesses, they're learning all the things that they could do that could, ultimately take down their biggest threat.
Kind of like the White Room.
Right. Oh, but we find out that, like, yes, that is part of what they do, but ultimately they already had put fail-safes in long before. Like, the first time they patched him back up, they put a bomb in his head, right? So,
That's not no.
yeah, you're right. It's more of like
It's a shock collar.
yeah.
It's literally a shock collar. It's from that giant thing, right? What was that? It was like a crab or I don't know.
Yeah, whatever sea creature he was fighting,
Yeah.
they copied that noise, yeah. That's what they had mentioned that in the
That's the one that him and Omni-Man killed together, right? In their bonding moment.
I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% on that one.
I think it is.
It's been several years since I watched that episode, so.
Okay. So, do you think that Oliver is going to be way more like his father than Mark is?
He already is. But do I think he's going to be evil? No.
Well, Omni-Man's not necessarily evil either.
Yeah.
He's just doing what he was trained to do, and he's been changing that quite a bit over the time.
Yeah. So from the lens of humanity, I would say that the entire Viltrumite race are evil based on their values, thought process, like every other life besides their own. Even their own race is insignificant. It's all about power and conquest. And so from that lens, I think that like Nolan, who has been a full Viltrumite and has been indoctrinated into that, comes more from an evil place than where like Oliver would. And I think again, Debbie's going to be the ultimate factor here because she's actually raising Oliver. He wants to, he cares. He wants to help people.
You brought that up on one of the other seasons that we reviewed also, that she is the great common denominator for putting or instilling humanity into Omni-Man, Mark, and now Oliver.
When they were jumping through dimensions, I believe it was with Angstrom leaving, when they were doing that, Angstrom brings it up that this is the only universe where Mark is not evil.
Yeah.
And Angstrom puts 2 and 2 together that it's because in this universe, Debbie's still alive and Debbie's been a part of his life his whole life. Because the one where like the dystopian world where we get brought into and we think it's our world, but it's not because we get evil Mark instead. His mother was killed in that world. And so it drives him to go evil, right? And so there's like a bunch of different scenarios where Debbie's basically not involved and doesn't get to influence him the way that she would.
So if she's ever killed, do you think that's going to throw him over the deep end, like all the other universes?
I think it's no, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, it would be
Eve now.
Also, it would be disrespecting his mother's memory. At this point, he's been powerful and with his mother long enough that I believe that if Debbie, like say if Cecil killed Debbie somehow, right? Scenario. Do I think Mark would just go straight evil? I don't. Do I think he'd kill Cecil? Yes. Do I think he would go evil? No, I think he would still be a superhero. He would avenge his mom and then go back to living the way that his mom would want him to.
That makes sense. Also, in the first episode, the reason that he has this whole big falling out with Cecil is because he's mad of putting bad guys in superhero positions based on their choices, which as we saw in second episode, the whole backstory with Cecil is that's kind of what happened to him. He had to be straightened out, learn how to follow orders, and that's what he wants to do with Mark. But Mark is very right and wrong, doesn't have the whole, yeah, I can kind of see it that way right now. He's an petulant child. So he has to come to terms with the fact that just because some of the events in their life were really bad doesn't make them a bad person overall.
Yeah, I mean, he will have to come to terms with that for sure.
But that's why he broke off with Cecil.
He's already done it once with his father, right? He's already, like his father almost kills him, killed thousands of people, destroyed Chicago. All these different things happened, and yet he was able to forgive him, right? So, like you said, or like we've talked about it previously in the episode, there's like these, it's almost like they're looking in a mirror and seeing the previous version of themselves, and that's what's angering them more than anything. Like Cecil sees Mark now, but Mark now is acting like Cecil back then, and so he can like directly see his younger self in that situation. I think that's also why in the White Room, Cecil was so calm, and ultimately like wasn't really trying to hurt Mark. He was just more or less trying to be like, come on, just go home. Let's talk this out. Like, enough is enough. Like this is the way it goes. Like this is how it needs to be. This is the right thing to do. And Mark, just like you said, just could not see anything other than his own like face, right? Like he was just stuck.
So do you think Cecil's making the right call though, in terms of employing those people, kind of like what the U.S. did after World War II, getting all the scientists, stuff like that? The ends justify the means.
There isn't many people in the armed forces who are on the front lines in a real combat situation who aren't killers, right? So what is the crime and what? It's so gray area, and there's so many factors to take into. Is Cecil specifically making the right decisions inside of the episode, the way things are working out? Yes, right? He has the weight of keeping the entire Earth safe on his shoulders against cosmic forces and, all of these different superpowers that he has no real power against. And so using every asset available is smart, especially if those assets want to cooperate and are not going to, become a rogue agent. It looks like Darkwing seriously wants to be a superhero, wants to help. I'm not really sure how he's got D.A. Sinclair on a leash, but it seems like he has more control over these reanimen than Sinclair does. So as long as Cecil keeps his motives pure and keeps control over these assets, then they're going to be the one thing that could really make the difference. So I think Cecil's right. I mean, it's an age-old story, and we've done it in our own military, in our own real life. Is like, can we rehabilitate and use these amazing, powerful assets? And that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah. But they have no remorse, and their bloodlust or their savagery is more than their power, then there's no reason to keep that person, right? Because that kind of person is uncontrollable. In this case, it seems like Cecil can control the assets, and in that case, they're useful.
So, what the fuck was up with stealing the Declaration of Independence?
I don't think we've seen the end of that. I don't think that was just like a throwaway fight for us to have, some witty banter going on. It was very futuristic, their outfits and their hover bike. I have a feeling that we're going to either see an alternate timeline or a future timeline where an episode where whatever society or whatever thing is going on there is directly affected by the Declaration of Independence that we have now, right? And so by either getting it, destroying it, doing something with it, it directly will affect whatever's going on here.
Or the future?
So it might give them power, right? By stealing the Declaration of Independence and bringing it to the future, now they are president, or they're in charge. They can rule whatever this thing is. That's a mystery. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where it goes because I don't have any idea. But
So that's just the seed.
I have a feeling that they planted a seed there, but I don't think it's the last time we see them. I don't think, again, there's really never really a throwaway character. They keep coming back.
I'm noticing that. We kind of talked about Cecil's origin story a little bit, but I thought it was funny when the bad guys thought Cecil was screwed when he was like undercover or whatever. And he was like, no, it was just a code phrase. I tricked you.
Yeah, yeah. No, it gave us an insight into just how well trained and how long he's been doing this.
And how creative.
Yeah.
And we learned about his scars.
The only, yeah.
Yep. He kept that because that's the only original piece of his skin that survived. And as a reminder not to let something get in the way. What was it?
It was just so he wouldn't make the same mistake twice.
Which mistake was that is what I'm asking. Can't recall at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Maybe one of you guys can help us out with that.
I know he was ultimately upset that 17 people got killed and that the gas leaked out. I don't remember the exact correlation to the mistake. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys thought.
All right. So the question that I've seen, the heavy spoilers guy, right?
Yep.
Because I was just looking through the comments to see what other people were asking. And one of the questions was, is Cecil truly different from Omni-Man, or is he just the human version of him?
I think that's supposed to be how we see, so there is evil inside of this world, 1000%.
Is evil in everyone.
But what I think is that the people that we get painted as villains also they give us enough of that person so that we also see the motive. And the motive sometimes can make us have compassion for that person's actions, right? And I think they do a really good job of that in this series where...
Definitely do that good with Cecil. It's about his intention.
Yeah.
As you said, he's got the whole weight of his shoulders of saving it.
Yeah, so, we have these people who straight up murder people. Omni-Man, great example. The season 1 finale, or the end of season 1, or no, the end of episode 1, the pilot. We watch him destroy the Guardians of the Galaxy, and yet we still, by the end of season 1, end up liking him again, right? So I think they do a really good job of writing their heroes and their villains in a very, very thin line.
I could see that. I do like that because at any moment you can believe that they would flip-flop. And we saw a good example of that inside episode 3 with the one gay couple, the super villain.
Oh, it's Fred. Yeah.
No, the villains.
Oh, the montage opening of episode 3 with there was no sound at all or no actual talking.
Yeah, but those were the same ones that went to go rob the place. And then they went to attack Oliver, and he restrained himself, but ended up dying.
Yeah.
But they were originally villains, life of crime, and they did their best to go straight.
Yeah.
Until things didn't work out for him because they weren't very good at simple things, apparently.
I think the ordinary life it seems like, because again, there's no dialogue during that part. And so it just seemed like they robbed that bank, almost get caught the first time, and changing their ways because they don't want to get in trouble. The only reason they robbed, it seems to me, the only reason they robbed the bank in the first place is because they were out of money. They were down and out, right? Bills were piling up. And so they end up not getting the money, trying to work a regular life, do the regular thing, getting evicted, living on the streets, and then ultimately trying to rob the bank again, right? I think that was just us seeing the cycle of just how hard it is to get out of that life. And then ultimately, like, they go back to it because it was easier.
It's what they know.
Much, yeah.
We revert to those in the toughest times. We revert to our baser habits.
Which I think is another, like, again, just going back to what we were just saying right before this, I think they do a really good job in this show of writing the heroes and the villains with a very thin line. Because there was moments without any dialogue that we felt compassion for these guys, right? They're down and out. They're out on their luck. They're trying to do something better for themselves, but it just isn't working out. So they go back to what they know, which is quick money, fast money, rob the bank. And then ultimately that ends up just being the downfall. Right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And then Mark gets a new costume, black and blue.
Black and blue for to hide all the black and blues. Yeah, no. And then we get Kid Omni-Man. He wants to call himself. Yes, because that's going to go over so well, as Mark points out. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, because Oliver got his powers early and is not going to be contained. But also, as we saw with the Maulers, kind of has a lot of learning to do if he's going to be able to become more of a hero than just a blunt weapon, right? So we'll see where that goes.
One scene bothered me with the Maulers, and that's when they kept calling Mark Invinciboy instead of Invincible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why? Did not realize?
No, that was the running joke for the entire episode.
It was so stupid, though.
Oh, I thought it was, I mean, it is silly, but it's fun. So the media, being ignorant, doesn't realize that it's just Mark in a different suit. They think it's another superhero trying to be invincible, but just like a younger kid. So they gave him the name Invinciboy as like a nod to, like the moniker nods to the original.
But did the Maulers not realize it was the same person either?
No one did, and that's the joke.
I guess that's like making fun of Clark Kent because he takes off his glasses and they don't know it's Superman.
Which is probably one of the longest running jokes in superhero history, is that really the glasses and the tie is the thing that doesn't let you know he's Superman? Come on.
Yeah, okay. I guess, and maybe I'm just overanalyzing that piece of it, but it felt...
Yeah, the Maulers had no idea it was Mark. They had no idea. They honestly thought they were fighting a different superhero. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of weird because the Maulers are super intelligent, but yeah, that was kind of the running joke that he's now in Invinciboy. Yeah. So one thing we do need to cover is that Viltrumites are supposed to be almost indestructible, right? Like one of the strongest beings in the entire universe is a Viltrumite, and it takes almost another Viltrumite to damage them, to cut their skin, to make them like bleed in the way that we saw Mark bleed. So I also don't think this is the last time we see these deep lava worm things.
Oh, that's right. The earthquake did.
So Cecil's always trying to find ways to kill a Viltrumite. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, everyone saw that worm centipede looking thing put one of its tentacles straight through Mark's shoulder. Like clean through, no problem. And then Mark actually breaks it, and then we see the venom inside and all of that. But
is that why he started acting erratic? That's what I was wondering at.
He was envenomated for a while there, but being a Viltrumite just cycles it out. But yeah, he was. You see how he was like woozy and like trying to like stumbling around.
Kind of got Ray too.
I'm sure it's hard to think straight when you're got venom pulsing through your body. But yeah, he basically got venom inside of him. But I bring all that up because one, very few things make a Viltrumite bleed, right? There's the gun. There's the series of books that Nolan wrote that were like the hints on how to do it. And so there's like that race of beasts that can do it. There's that one gun that can do it. And now we just found out that if we were to fashion a weapon or weaponize these giant centipede looking things like Dr. Seismic did,
turn bullets, right?
Or create weapons from it, right? Weaponize it somehow. You now have a way to damage a Viltrumite. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we should skip over that or, write that off. That's a very rare thing to see. Yeah. Does Invincible get his ass kicked all the time? 100%. But it usually takes quite a beating for him to even like get beat up, right? For him to get pierced straight through with no hesitation like that, that's rare. And so I have a feeling we're going to see this again.
Okay, so going down that same vein of thought, they don't really scar the Viltrumites.
Do the Viltrumites scar? Yes.
They do.
Yes.
Is it only from another Viltrumite attack that they scar?
That's the only ones I've seen on, like, so in the series, we've seen Nolan now has scars. I'm pretty sure Mark has one from Nolan too. But it's usually been the big bad fight where it's, another Viltrumite versus them, or all of the superheroes versus the Viltrumite, that you actually see them get hurt. Because the Guardians of the Galaxy were able to hurt Nolan. He killed them all, but they were able to hurt him. They were able to, slightly incapacitate him, and he eventually passes out at the end of that fight and has to go heal from that.
Because I'm wondering if it would be significant for them to show later on that he actually has a scar there from where he got stabbed.
Yeah. I think we've seen him with no shirt on since then, and he doesn't have it.
I don't recall. I didn't think of it until we started talking about it.
I love this show and love catching all the little details we didn't catch the first time, which is why I love you guys dropping your comments and your thoughts and the things we didn't catch down in the comments below, because it's awesome to catch, like, to actually interact and hear it all.
How long do you think until Omni-Man comes back to Earth?
I think Omni-Man ever comes back to Earth.
No?
No. I think that there will come a time where Mark goes to him and that we leave Earth and it becomes more of a intergalactic type of war and things go on.
That's not fair, because you know more about this universe than I do.
But do I think this is the end of ever seeing Nolan? No. He's still got way more story for us. But he's done so much damage on Earth, I don't think he'll ever be welcome in this lifetime.
Well, I don't know. I think they opened up that door as well with Cecil.
Yeah, I don't know.
As long as they're useful, they will find a way to rehabilitate. That was the theme.
Rehabilitate means control to Cecil, and you can't control Omni-Man.
He can, because look at what Cecil's look was when he saw Oliver. When he realized Oliver had all this strength. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's his next toy.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's your theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. So these 3 episodes are a lot of stuff going on, to be honest. There's a lot of knowledge drop and a lot of, like, teeing us up for where this is going to go. Obviously, with the big reveal of Angstrom Levy still being alive and spying on and getting ready to get his revenge on Mark yet again. I don't think it's the last we see of Doc Seismic. I don't think those creatures are going to be gone forever. I think they're going to also be a huge component. And there's a lot of players that we haven't seen yet, right?
Oh, and the A-Team split up too. The superhero squad broke up into 2 separate factions again.
Yeah.
Forgot about that part.
So at the end of the pilot, the Guardians of the Galaxies are dead, right? Nolan kills them all. And at the end of this episode, season 3, episode 1, they're also dissolved again. They're not all dead, but they're also no longer, because they leave, right? So I think it's kind of symbolic that the Guardians of the Galaxies are kind of like, it's a whole changing of roster at the beginning of each season now. Well, at the beginning of season 1 and the beginning of season 3. And what I think you're going to see is the beginning of, like, not necessarily like an evil team, but a team of superheroes that aren't necessarily heroes.
Okay. So kind of like when Hawkeye goes off the reservation and becomes the Ronin?
Kind of.
Except a team of them like that?
Yeah.
Thinking, okay.
I think you'll have a team of people who will put the sake of humanity above everything else.
So more of Cecil's stance.
Right. So,
And justifies the mean.
yes, exactly. We'll do things of horrible nature to justify the means. Yeah. And then you also have your other team, which is going to be your former, team there with a couple additions. Robot, all them. That's what I'm talking about, those guys. Which will end up being the good guys for now. Because, like we said, that line between hero and villain is very thin in this show.
Yeah. Very much like Inglourious Bastards.
I like to look at it as, like, this is like a cartoon version of, like, what the universe might look like in The Boys. But in The Boys, it's more of, like, none of the heroes are actual heroes. Like, they're all about money and fame and power and prestige and, like, how they look, with the exception of, like, a Starlight, right? Where in the Invincible universe, like, you have many people who are actually trying to be heroes and save people. It's very different. Yeah. But no, I'm excited to see where this season goes. We've got, I think it's a 7-episode season.
8 episodes.
Okay.
Same as first 2 seasons.
So we have episode 4 next week. We'll be getting some more information. I'm excited to see where it goes. I love this universe. I think it's cool that they're not necessarily following the books to the T, but also bringing in elements of it so that, you know, it's following a similar storyline, but without, and also keeping it like custom, like original.
And an interview from Kirkman. Apparently, season 3 is just to build up to season 4 for all the fun shit he wants to do.
Well, there are some very big arcs that we have not touched on yet and that are awesome. So I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who has ever read the comics and is in for the ride with the TV show with us. But yes, there's so much goodness coming. That's a wrap for the review of these 3 episodes. Can't wait to watch episode 4 next week. We'll talk to you guys about that as well. If you guys really enjoy all the stuff we have going on here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode. We're reviewing 4 different shows right now. We have Dexter, we have Watson, we have Paradise, and we have Invincible, and actually the Mayfair Witches as well, which we're here or there. Last episode was really good, but they have some slow ones, but still worth watching.
Watson's on pause until the 16th for when the second episode comes out.
Don't forget, we now have a Patreon, so if you want to be a member of the OVF Presents G-Spot community, then you can be the one for as little as a cup of coffee. So go ahead, links right down in the description. But as always, if you want to watch more amazing videos, especially ones like this one, you can check out a whole playlist right here, as well as a playlist of another amazing show we just finished reviewing that everyone loved. Tons of great comments in there. You go check them out. As well as something else right above my head that you might like. But we'll see you guys on the video. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were. You've already come far.